Okay, I'm sorry that I'm sitting here in a robe. It's kind of cold in here. Wanted to go on and get this is the last video before we start the Constitution, going through the actual articles and amendments and everything. Those will go quite quick. So I was waiting for two people that we had that were new. I had a few extra books left. I sent those to them. They both let me know that they do have them now. So the next class will actually start in that. Now after that's done, we do have an option to go further into it in more depth than what we're going to go through it this time. But this is to get you in, I guess, into it. And it's how much do you want to learn? There's over 500 pages in this book. So it goes quite deep into the times and why things were written the way that they were written. Now, written constitutionalism implies that those who make, that's the legislature, adjudicate, that's the courts, and enforce, that's the executive branch, the law ought to be guided by the meaning of the United Constitution, the supreme law of the land, as it was understood by those who wrote it and ratified the Constitution and its amendments. In other words, it doesn't need interpretation, although there are those that would like to tell us that it does. When things begin to be interpreted, a lot of times they are not interpreted in a way which people can understand them, but rather what they think or feel like it says, and that's dangerous. This is why the constitutionalists are important. They use the Constitution exactly as it was written. Chief Justice John Marshall said in Marbury versus Madison in 1803, the powers of the legislature are defined and limited, and that those limits may not be mistaken or forgotten. The Constitution is written to what purpose are powers limited, and to what purpose is that limitation committed to writing. If these limits may at any time be passed by those intended to be restrained. Nonetheless, by long and complicated development in American legal thought, including the influence of progressivism, which is the support or advocacy for social reform, pragmatism assesses the truth or beliefs in practical application, sociological jurisprudence, social legislation cannot make laws. The reason that I wrote those down, I heard recently Nancy Pelosi saying some of these words, so I thought we needed to know exactly what they meant. Legal realism is all laws developed from social interests and then form. The view of the appropriate place of the original Constitution in our law came to be seriously eroded over the course of the last century. In its stead grew theory of the Constitution as a living document with no fixed meaning, subject to changing interpretations according to the spirit of the times, or more particularly by the views of the judges who decide the cases. The looser standard came to dominate constitutional interpretation, particularly during the second half of the 20th century. So basically they were trying to say that the Constitution could be changed by the way that you interpreted it, which could really change what it meant. Attorney General Edison Meese III delivered speeches to return to the original intention of the Constitution. This influenced the way that judicial opinions were written. This made Justice Antonia Scalia's name a household word. Now, originalism is championed by a number of fundamental reasons. First, it agrees with the nature of the Constitution, which binds, limits any particular generation from ruling according to the passion of the times. Secondly, it supports legitimate popular government that is accountable. Third, it argues with the Constitution on limiting government. And fourth, it limits the judiciary, which prevents the Supreme Court from assisting its will or asserting its will over policy, making it accountable to the will of the people. Fifth, it agrees with the understanding of what our Constitution was to be by the people that formed and ratified that document. Sixth, it is not result-oriented. It must be humble in the face of facts, because sometimes what the Constitution says may be broader than what we might like. And that is all I have for this time. Like I said, next time we will actually start into those books. The next page is "We the people of the United States in order to form a more perfect union." So that has you for today. And I'll try to get those classes out as soon as I can.